I want to welcome you back to Black Site. Tonight we're going to talk about an email I received from a subscriber wanting me to talk about Kevin Samuel's statement to the black woman who says she's average at best and she'll die alone. First, I want you to subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and please comment on this video. Kevin Samuel, an image consultant, had a conversation on his platform with a young lady, and he told her she was average at best and that she would die alone. In the conversation, she was asking him, could she get a high value man, a man who makes over $100,000? When you ask a question to an image consultant like Kevin Samuels, you may not like the answer. The answer was harsh. You could believe it or not, but that's what you get from an image consultant on YouTube. Instead of her concentrating on how much change the man had in his pocket to make him high value, she should have said, can I really get a real high value man? And a real high value man could be any man. A man who makes less than $100,000. A man who has a job, who works for the government, state, city, or federal. Who could be a police officer, sanitation worker, or teacher in any of those professions. They may not make $100,000, but they may have all the characteristics that the Bible wants a man to have. Being a head of the household, being a great husband, being a great father. This young lady is in her mid-30s. She seems to be doing pretty good on her own, seems to have her own business, has a 13-year-old son, a single mother. And what she should have been looking for is a man who will complement her, someone that she can build with, someone, if he was to step into her household, he would be an example for her son. I don't know if the father was still around, but he can be example to how a man should act, how a man should treat a woman, also how a man should run a house. But she concentrated on money. And when you concentrate on money and you consider that value, because before in America, a high value man used to be a man who went to work every day, who may have worked 5, 6, or 7 days a week, but made sure that it was food on the table, made sure that his children was dressed appropriately, and made sure that he was respected as the head of the household. But now, in a new generation, the respect for a man is based on how much money he makes. And that is not a high value man. A man can make over 100,000, 200, 300, 400,000, but not be worthy of heading a household. And that's the mistake that she made. She should be looking for a man who can complement her, a man who is worthy of being with her. Even though she is a 5, she said she's a 5. Because you're a 5 does not say that you can't receive a high value man. There are plenty of women out here who are 5s and have high value men. Some of the most high value men in the world. Bill Gates. Have you seen Melinda Gates? She's a 5. Have you seen Mark Zuckerberg's wife? She's a 5. But when God made man and woman, he didn't just make man and woman on looks. He gave you other characteristics that can take you from a 5 to a 10. There's a reason why Bill and Melinda got together. Bill could have had any beautiful woman in the world he wanted. Second richest man in the world. Mark Zuckerberg could have had any woman that he wanted. But he chose his wife because he took the 5. But the other 5 was characteristics that he saw in her, that he wanted, that made her a 10 in his eyes. And that's what you must look for. We have become a society where everything has been based on materialistic goods. What do you see on the outside? So she can go out and say, hey, my husband make over $100,000. He makes $200,000. But how happy are you at home? Is he the type of man that treats you right? Instead of her looking for a man, and there's plenty of men making under $100,000, they could be making $70,000, $80,000. But when you cut it off at $100,000 and you say high value men, you eliminate 90% of black men. That's if she's just shopping in the black man aisle. So we have to take this into consideration. This whole conversation that they had was a good conversation. And many of you say he mistreated her. But it gave everyone something to talk about. In this instance, every man that makes $100,000 is not a high value man. And any man who makes under $100,000 can be a high value man. Is if you look at the rest of his human characteristics. And that's the problem with today's society. We don't look at the characteristics. We look at the clothes. We look at the bag. We look at the shoes. But we don't look at the rest of the person. And that's what she was caught up in. And she may have, in her life, passed over 5, 10 men who had all those godly characteristics because he just didn't make enough money, because that was number 1 on her list. Instead of her looking at those other characteristics that men have had in the past that has made not only them successful but their family successful, she has turned away from all that. He gave her a harsh critique. And one thing that is true that he said, if men are not knocking down your door to get to you in their high value, maybe you should look at the average man. And I'm not saying the average man who happens to be a bum, a lowlife. It is plenty of average men out here who are worthy of being with a woman like her. We must be mindful not always to look at how much change somebody have in their pocket, but to look at the right characteristics. A lot of those characteristics you can find in a good book if you look. And if that person has those characteristics, you will have a successful relationship and you will not die alone. I want to thank you for listening to Black Site. I hope you subscribe to this channel, smash that like button, and also share this video.